Well, the city opening the first 2 supervised injection sites in the nation. The authorized safe havens provide a place for people to use drugs with the intent to curb overdose deaths.
All right, Lisa Evers here now with more on what the facilities will offer and why not everyone is on board with this controversial approach. Lisa.
Well, Stephen Laurie, with more drug overdose deaths than ever before in the city, the mayor announced a controversial measure he says is designed to prevent overdose deaths, supervised drug injection sites. While some local leaders embrace the plan, one member of Congress says it's illegal, but the city's top doctor says this is simply about saving lives. With the opening of one overdose prevention center in East Harlem and another in Washington Heights, New York becomes a public health policy leader in the battle to save lives lost to drug addiction. It also gives IV drug users a pathway out of addiction, says New York City Health Commissioner Dr. Dave Choksi.
Overdose prevention centers, it's important to emphasize, these are services that are added to existing sites that take care of people who use drugs.
The 2 locations, one at the Corner Project in Washington Heights and the other at the New York Harm Reduction Educators in East Harlem, already provide needle exchanges and links to treatment. Each has clinical staff to deal with overdoses and prevent deaths, which is a growing threat given the increased use of fentanyl-laced heroin.
If they do suffer from an overdose, they can get immediate attention and resuscitation. And that's very important.
While the city looks at drug abuse as a health issue, Representative Nicole Malliotakis says it should come under federal law enforcement scrutiny since the drugs at these sites are illegal.
This is a direct violation of the Controlled Substance Act. I have written to the Department of Justice, our new Attorney General, Merrick Garland, today, asking him to intervene.
The East Harlem neighborhood around the site is already littered with used needles in so many areas that City Council member Diana Ayala carries a biohazard type container and other equipment to safely pick up the needles she finds outside her office and in front of schools in her district. Despite her quality of life concerns, she fully supports the overdose prevention centers and says it's about time.
I agree that we have an oversaturation issue that has contributed to a lot of what we're seeing, but we're also facing a national crisis. This opioid crisis is not specific to, the 8th Councilmatic District. This is happening nationwide.
Now, Dr. Choksi says the model has worked in other countries, and he believes it can work here. He says they're already considering locations throughout the city, and he'd like to see one eventually in every neighborhood.
3 weeks ago, I reported the city was still weighing community buy-in and the federal legality of overdose prevention sites, but the ultimate decision came down to saving lives.
People talk about people should recover, people should stop using drugs. If they don't live, then they don't get the opportunity.
Sam Rivera is executive director of the newly formed On Point NYC, a combination of 2 established service providers in Washington Heights and East Harlem. When the doors opened, dozens of users showed up to use these new booths. 3 of them almost overdosed the first day, but were saved by the facility.
I wish this was around. I grew up in the Lower East Side. And I remember in the 70s walking through Avenue B, Avenue C in different areas, walking past dead people in the street. All right, no one could deny that.
One user named China tells me her friend died of an overdose a few weeks ago. Not only does she now feel protected by this new site, she says it will also help protect neighborhood kids by providing a private place to inject and eventually smoke drugs.
Some kids walk past and be like, oh, Mommy, look, they're smoking crack. Mom, what's that? They stop and stare. And it's not cute. I don't think it's cute. But, to each his own. I wouldn't do it.
Now you don't have to do that.
Now I don't have to.
The city is already facing legal challenges. In a letter to Attorney General Merrick Garland today, Congresswoman Nicole Malliotakis objected, citing that this past January, the Third Circuit Court of Appeals ruled that it is a federal crime to open a supervised injection site or consumption room for illegal drug use. The city's overdose prevention site champion, Dr. Chinazo Cunningham, points out that more people died from overdoses in 2020 than any year in history.
It's unclear what's going to happen at the federal government. What I do know is that we are in the deadliest epidemic ever in terms of drug overdoses, and we don't have time to wait.
While the federal government decides whether to take on the case, the 2 sites in Manhattan are open for business right now, Monday through Friday, 9 to 8, 9 to 4 on the weekends. Maureen. The 2 sites in Manhattan are open for business right now, Monday through Friday, 9 to 8, 9 to 4 on the weekends. Maurice, Christine.
Absolutely fascinating, Jesse. Thank you.
Jesse, thank you.
Make sure you comment below and subscribe. Global Daily Media.